Formula One resumes with a mini pole position from its 7-time world champion. The Chinese circuit is technically challenging, and Lewis Hamilton immediately showcases a piece of his repertoire, securing first position through a good synergy between driver and car, where the Briton made a difference. It is the first small magic in red for Lewis Hamilton in a sprint qualifying that provided interesting technical and strategic insights, along with quite a few twists. We had already highlighted it after the free practice session at the 5.451-kilometer Shanghai International Circuit. The British driver appeared extremely clean in the initial mix section, which is crucial for tire management over the lap and for the stopwatch, and he was no different in qualifying, making a significant difference in terms of driving effectiveness with smart racing lines, cleanliness, and constant attention to traction phases at corner exits. Ferrari confirmed a setup that was not particularly high in terms of downforce, as calculated indicators suggest, but highly effective in these conditions. The Shanghai track surface had an unusually high level of grip, and the soft tire was in its ideal window, allowing for maximum performance even without maximizing downforce, also considering the long runs where energy transfer to the tires must be managed to prevent overheating, especially on the front left. The SF25 single-seater also displayed excellent balance after initial doubts, which rewarded Lewis Hamilton's technical interpretation, particularly in sections requiring precision, rotation, and the ability to anticipate the ideal racing line. This is evident in the first complex, from corners 1 to 4, where the Briton is not overly aggressive but perfectly fluid, and in corners 8, 11, and 12, where he brakes and hits the apex early to achieve a better exit line, granting him superior traction through the turns. Ultimately, the number 44 Ferrari recorded the best sector times in the first and second sectors, confirming a strong performance that was not limited to a few meters of a single corner, but extended through the most demanding parts of the track. The final sector was the only weak spot for Lewis Hamilton, particularly the last corner, where he came close to jeopardizing all the advantage built up to that point. The impression is that the final corner is the one requiring the most confidence in the car from the driver, who must commit instinctively while ensuring he does not undo all the session's work. Understandably, the 7-time Formula One world champion still needs a few more kilometers to develop full trust in the SF25 in this regard. At the same time, we have to admit that McLaren badly wasted the best car on track. It was indeed a poor session for the Papaya team, which throws away an almost certain pole position and front row due to a combination of a wrong strategy, considering the double attempt in SQ3 and a lack of performance from the drivers who failed to extract the full potential of the MCL39. Once again, the key factor is the ability to maximize. Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc, for example, managed to set their best 3 sectors in the final attempt when it really matters. On the other hand, Oscar Piastri leaves 119 thousandths on the table, but the most shocking figure is that of Lando Norris. He loses a staggering 343 thousandths compared to the sum of his best sectors, with his fastest lap even set on medium tires in SQ2, while his SQ3 was riddled with mistakes, perhaps also due to a car that is incredibly fast but not easy to tame, especially at the rear. In such a tight context with such small margins, these details make all the difference, even if Andrea Stella's team remains the clear favorite for a full haul in the sprint. Speaking of maximizing, we must mention Max Verstappen, who manages to extract everything possible from every session, securing a front-row start alongside Lewis Hamilton by just 18 thousandths, thanks to an excellent lap and a decent car balance found at the last moment before the sprint qualifying session. The data suggests that a slight increase in baseline downforce was chosen. An interesting detail also emerges from the top speeds. Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, and Liam Lawson all hit 337 km per hour, confirming that Red Bull is slightly more reachable and has downforce levels comparable to its rivals. Meanwhile, it is evident that Ferrari has improved its aerodynamic efficiency on multiple fronts, reinforcing the suspicion that in Australia, the rear ride height was significantly higher than it should have been. In this context, Ferrari seems to have found a good compromise between downforce and top speed, while McLaren ranks quite low on the list, a factor that could be due to their poor session, where the car's full potential was never truly maximized, but also possibly influenced by the new technical directive on the Mini DRS. It is too early to judge for now, but this will certainly be something to monitor in upcoming sessions to determine whether the regulatory change has had any impact on the Woking car, though it remains clear that the Papaya team still had more than enough potential to take pole position at the Shanghai circuit. Finally, we find it interesting to compare the telemetry of Lewis Hamilton's pole lap with the one that earned Charles Leclerc fourth place to spot some interesting differences. As mentioned, Lewis's lap is built with intelligence and rhythm, but the differences with his teammate are mostly localized rather than general. The Briton gains almost a tenth over Charles Leclerc in the first complex, with a smoother and more progressive line, whereas the Monegasque is more aggressive on corner entry and forced to use the brake more. Lewis Hamilton is simply more effective in slow and technical sections, where the car needs to rotate with precision, such as the hairpin at corner 6 and that at corner 14, where the Briton gains over a tenth in both cases. However, he still lacks some confidence in sections where the car must be forced into the corner, either at high speed or under full acceleration, like in corners 12 and 16. Tomorrow's Chinese sprint race start will see Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen on the front row, with the first corner of the Shanghai International Circuit set to bring fireworks. Behind, the McLaren cars will be ready to fight back, and Charles Leclerc will be seeking revenge as he aims to at least finish in the top 3. Let's not forget Mercedes, which on medium tires could certainly have a say. All the ingredients are there for a great sprint. Lewis Hamilton's weekend in China therefore begins in the best possible way. The 7-time world champion bounces back after the disappointment in Australia, securing pole position for the sprint race with a masterful lap. In Shanghai, where he has claimed victory 6 times before, he also sets the track record with a time of 1.30.849. It is an unexpected result for both Ferrari and the Briton himself, who will start alongside Max Verstappen in a front row that brings back memories of the 2021 title fight. At the end of the session, the new Ferrari driver does not hide his surprise at the achievement, but refrains from making predictions about the outcome of the sprint, the first of the season, scheduled for Saturday. Lewis Hamilton states that he had not expected such a result but feels extremely happy and proud. He emphasizes that the last race had been a disaster for the team, but he believes the car clearly had more potential, which they simply had not been able to unlock in Australia. In Shanghai, however, on a track he particularly loves, the car showed its true potential from the very first lap. He also highlights the great work done with the team, which made excellent adjustments to the car. Lewis Hamilton himself admits to being surprised by the result, not only because of the Australian performance, but also because he has not yet fully adapted to Ferrari's new working methods and still needs to build a trusting relationship with his new race engineer, Riccardo Adami. He confesses to being shocked and unable to believe that he secured pole, even if it is just for the sprint and not the main race. However, he acknowledges that there is still work to be done for the following day, though he considers this a positive step forward for the race as well. Regarding the perfect lap that earned him not only the mini pole but also the track record, Lewis Hamilton admits he is unsure exactly where he made the difference, stating that he would need to review the entire lap. However, he identifies the first sector as the area where he likely improved the most. He adds that progress was gradual throughout the circuit and believes there is still room for improvement, which he will try to capitalize on in the next qualifying session. Finally, he expresses excitement about seeing the number 1 on the red car, calling it something incredible.